Alright, how's it going, everybody, or anyone who is watching? My name is Matthew, I'll be your host here today, and I have a UU session that I did right here. I had to kind of nitpick a few of the games. I had a lot of really good games, a lot of really fun games. As I was bragging just a little while earlier, I did get into the top 60, so a lot of these games are in the top hundreds, top 200, and I don't know, I tried to pick a few of the better ones, or a few of the ones where I kind of got to show off the sets. But like I said, I've really been enjoying this team. I've been having a lot of fun, so I guess I'll just jump into it right here. Now, this battle actually went really quickly, but I don't know, it was just kind of fun because it got to show off a few of how I can, a few of my ways of dealing with a few specific things. Anyways. Going to lead off with the Blastoise on his Entei. It's a really good lead against something like Mamoswine. It's just a really good lead in general. He's going to go hard into the Whimsicott. I'm able to predict that very nicely and catch it with the Ice Beam. So, yeah, really, really good. That's really low. Can't even sub. It's not leftovers, though, which is really nice because he's not really going to be getting enough back with Giga Drain to make that, worthwhile to be for me to be afraid of, and as we can see, it is a Life Orb as well. Just going to finish it off with the HP. He doesn't have to know what it is. It's HP Ice at the time, but I didn't want him blocking my Volt Switch with Mamoswine, because Mamoswine is scary. He's going to weaken me off with the Entei, because Entei, I beat it 1v, I beat his Entei 1v1, obviously, but Blastoise, walls, basically everything on his team, so he kind of has to weaken that off as quickly as he possibly can. He goes into Mamoswine here, and I'm not entirely sure why he went for Rocks. It's very potential that he does not have a move to hit Rotom, I suppose, although I don't think that's the case. I think he wanted to get Rocks up, and then he knew he'd be able to pressure me to not keep Rocks off the field, so I guess he thought it was worth sacking the Mamoswine for that. I don't really, because I think Mamoswine does really, really good against my team, but I don't know. He wouldn't have got Rocks up otherwise, and Rocks, of course, do pressure my team a lot, because I do have the two weaknesses and no longer, of course, have a way to remove it. Basically, he finishes me off right there, and I can go into my Gligar on his Cobalion. Now, Gyarados is a really big threat to my team. My Gyarados answer is foul playing it with Umbreon. I still take a lot, and yeah, it's just hard to deal with. So my best play here is, of course, to catch the Gyarados with the Toxic on the switch in. That's my best play, and yeah, Gyarados is just scary in general. So getting the Toxic off on that is really, really nice because it's definitely only on a timer. It really cannot set up for very much at all. He's going to go for the Dragon Dance right here as I go into my Umbreon, and it's leftovers, so my best play probably was not to go for the foul play, just because, I mean, it's leftovers. It's really not that, it shouldn't do, it shouldn't 2-hit KO me, is what I'm trying to get at, from leftovers, but, yeah, I did go for it because it was a little bit scary. And, well, he brings Cobalion in here the next turn. And Cobalion, I mean, Gligar I only really need for Cobalion. I wanted to get Rocks up, and I kind of wanted to do it, this turn. I didn't want to play around with it. I guess, in hindsight, my better play would be to... a play would have been to Roost right there, and then to Earthquake, and then to set up the Stealth Rocks the last turn. That was kind of my thought process, and that kind of would have been decent, but in this range right here, he's in range of Frostlass, so I'm just going to bring it in right now and shoot off a Shadow Ball. He doesn't really have, well, anything to switch in. He's going to save the Cobalion, which really makes sense, because it's the only way of actually beating the Umbreon, and, well, if I went for Ice Beam, this would have been a 2-hit KO, but, not, or it potentially would have been a 2-hit KO, I guess, really depending on a few things. But I can go into Toxicroak right here, and I can Sucker Punch. These things usually only can hit, if it's leftovers, then it's a very good indicator of it not carrying Earthquake. So they pretty much always only carry Bounce as their only way to hit Toxicroak. So yeah, that's my thought process. Intimidate Immense usually is a fully special set, so I know I can take two Fire Blasts. Unfortunately, I miss the Gunk Shot, but he misses the Fire Blast, so it works out very nicely for me. As you can see, 50% from a minus attack Gunk Shot. That is a really, really good amount of damage. So He's gonna roost right here. I'm gonna go for the Drain Punch. I actually get the crit, which is unfortunate, but with the poison and the life orb and me going for Drain Punch on obviously on his roost, but on all that I would have been able to I still think I would have been able to 1v1 it just a little bit. I guess I would have had to play a little bit, play a few mind games a little bit with Sucker Punch and stuff right at the end, but what can you do anyways? I go for Sucker Punch, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because I do have two things that outspeed the next turn, so it doesn't really matter in the end. Sucker Punch wouldn't really kill at that range anyways. After his leftovers, of course, is what I meant. But of course, I can just come into Frostlass, Life Orb Frostlass, and finish him off. So that is going to be the game, and I'm going to go on to a few others. Alright, so this was actually a really good game, in my opinion, of course. It was a really good game that I really enjoyed playing, and it was actually really high on the ladder. I think this was the battle that broke me, like, top 100, if I'm not mistaken, but it was a really good battle. I really enjoyed it, and I guess I'll just jump into it. I am going to lead off against, his Crobat was a very potential lead. He had a lot of very potential leads as well. Swampert being one of them, Helios being one of them, Hydreigon being one of them, Cobalion being one of them, and Crobat being one of them as just kind of scouting leads, I suppose. So ends up leading with a Crobat. By me leading, that pretty much confirms that I am Choice Scarf, because that's why Rotom typically lead is when they're Choice Scarf. So I know I have a very good feeling that he's going to go into Swampert, because they all like to go into Swampert first turn anyway. So I hit that with the HP Grass, which works out really, really nicely for me. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to play around with the Swampert just in case he does want to sack it. And HP Crass actually, for some reason, does a lot of damage to Cobalion. Like, for a resisted base 60 power hit, that does a really good amount of damage. We trade Rocks here, which is, I mean, it's worse for me, technically, but, I mean, it's not really the end of the world. My ways of removing his hazard are, like, I can remove his hazards a lot easier than he can remove, I can remove my hazards a lot easier than he can remove his. So, excuse me, that's basically the thing. Go out into Blastoise here on his Swampert just to try to get rid of the rocks, and he makes a very good play and pulls out into the Heliolisk. Goes for the Hyper Voice in case I want to pull the switch into Gligar, and because like I mean I'm assuming he doesn't have HP Ice, or I don't not sure if he would have made that play, but yeah, basically, Umbreon is really good, really fat, yeah, really bulky, so Umbreon's able to take that. Gardevoir comes in. Having the Wishing Year means I can pass off into anything and have basically a free safe switch, but I really need Umbreon healthy for the Hydreigon and the Heliolisk, so I don't pass into something. I let something has to take the Moonblast. The only resist on my team is Rotom Heat, so yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. I'm just going to go for the Overheat. I mean, it's going to do a pretty decent amount of damage to the Hydreigon. Like, 30% is actually not... It's not a small amount of damage. It's a pretty good amount of damage. But I wanted to get the most amount of damage off on his Gardevoir as I possibly could anyways. So yeah, that's basically my thought process. I'm going to go for Foul Play here. I don't want him getting a free switch into Gardevoir, because Gardevoir 6-0s my entire team, so Cobalion does not 6-0 my entire team, so I'd much rather give Cobalion the boost than give Gardevoir the free switch in. So, but like, the thing is, I've seen he's Stealth Rock, so I know can't be boosting any more than that, so for that reason, I know that Gligar is going to be walling it pretty easily as well. That's, like I said, the other reason why I went for the foul play that turn. Able to come in on the Ice Punch because Waterfall, he knows, wouldn't be doing very much. He seems like he is the fully offensive set, so it works out very nicely for me. Of course, I can take that very nicely, and I can actually get rid of Rocks this turn, which is really, really nice. Go into Gligar. This is seeming like I don't know, this seems like I want to say Banded. Like, it's doing a lot of damage with Brave Bird, so I'm not really sure. Goes into Cobalion right here to get Rocks right back up, which, in all honesty, was definitely a good play on his part, because he does have the Sugar Berry, and that's going to it's going to pressure me a lot more to have to get rid of the hazards. Go for Toxic on the Hydreigon coming in, which of course was my best play as well. So that works out very nicely. If he stayed in with Cobalion, it really wasn't threatening me, but be able to... Oh, I should probably pause here and explain why I stayed in on a Hydreigon. But yeah, getting the damage off is just getting the Toxic off on Hydreigon was just really, really important. I needed to start whittling that down a little bit more to, because like, I mean, eventually I might have to sack off the Umbreon depending on how things are going. So I don't know. It's just the best move. The like I just really needed to start wearing down the Hydreigon a lot more. But anyways, I stay in because even life like a Specs Dark Pulse, Specs Draco, sorry, not Specs, a Scarf. Not Specs, a Scarf. I can take Scarf hits from Hydreigon very, very well. Not very, very well, but I can take them. So I went for Roost in case he went for Draco or Dark Pulse, and I'd be able to scout to see what move he was locking into, because I am really thinking that he is Scarf Hydreigon. So for that reason, I go for Roost just to see what he wants to go for. And the U-turn was definitely the most probable play. Like I went for Roost just in case he went for those, but the most probable play for him to go for was U-turn, because I have the Umbreon as a very easy switch in, and he has the Gardevoir, which like 6-0s now anytime he gets a switch in on Umbreon. So for that reason, I just Roost, and he ends up bringing Crobat in, which is really, really good because it has to take more Stealth Rocks damage. Yeah, there we go. As I see, there's the Roost. Has to take more Stealth Rocks damage, and this thing does not threaten me whatsoever. I cannot touch it at all. But yeah, I cannot touch it whatsoever. So I just spam EQ because he's either going to kill himself to recoil or he's going to have to switch, which he did. So get the EQ off on Gardevoir. He goes for Healing Wish, which is it's kind of scary because Swampert is now at full and Blastoise is kind of weakened. Yeah, so that's at full. I'm going to Volt Switch because he just healed up, so there's no way he's going to want to take an HP Grass, even though he can take it. So Volt Switch was my best play, just to give me a little bit more momentum for my team, because now I can get a kill with Frostlass, which is just really, really nice. Because, yeah, every time Frostlass comes in, it basically gives me a kill, which is really good. But he turns out that his Crobat set was prepared for this his whole life. As we'll see right here, he goes for the Pursuit and demolishes me. But being able to kill the Hydreigon is it's just really good. It's very helpful. But because he went for Pursuit, I can now basically get a free spin on this, which is really, really good. I would have went into Gligar on the Crobat anyways, but yeah, I don't know. It worked out for me. I'd trade Frostlass to be able to get rid of hazards because if he wants them up, he's gonna have to set them up. So yeah, that's I guess basically it. I do still have Umbreon as my switch of choice in here. He's just going to go for the Hyper Voice. Yeah, it doesn't do very much, as we can see. He's going to pretty much just sack off his Helios because, well, he does die to Stealth Rock, so it's not really sacking off. Yeah, basically. And he goes for Thunderbolt here again. I believe I went for Heal Bell just in case I got paralyzed. I mean, there wasn't really another move for me to go for, but I get the full para, which I don't believe it ends up mattering this match. I think it actually ends up mattering in my favor, but it's kind of funny. Cobalion comes in, and he can get Rocks up one last time, and probably was definitely his best play because now, obviously, Rotom's dead, so my ways of dealing with Swampert are kind of limited now, now that happened. So yeah, basically that. Swampert comes in, and I am going to go for Toxic because I know I can live the Ice Punch because I am very defensive Gligar. So get the Toxic off. Fortunately, don't miss. I could have gotten 6-0, reverse 6-0 right there by Swampert, but fortunately enough, we don't miss. And yeah, that works out for me. And I'm just going to make the most safe plays possible that I can make. Actually, I probably could have gone into Blastoise at that point and tried to spin depending on what he goes for. But yeah, as you can see, I have Parrot there on the Protect, which actually works out for me in my favor. But like, obviously, I had 2 sacks anyways to go for, so I know I had like a million sacks to go for actually. So yeah, that ends up working out in my favor because he's going to be dying to the Toxic. Yeah, that's how we kill Swamperts with this team as we toxic and then sack things to it. So it was actually a very fun team, and like I said, I thought it was a pretty fun. And I was a bit partial to this team, just this battle, just because it's the battle that broke the 100 top 100 barrier, if I'm not mistaken. All right, we got another battle here against kind of a very hyper offense looking team. Now hyper offense, of course, they have the Azelf suicide lead, so I'm going to lead with the Blastoise right here. I was going to, if he went for, I was going for the Scald, and then if he went for the Stealth Rocks, I would go hard into Frostas on the explosion. That was my game plan, but he actually goes up, ends up attacking me first, and I get the burn, which means I'm a lot more justified in going for Rapid Spin because it does, well, it does 7% and he is burned, so he can't actually get rocks up on me. I mean, he can go for Psychic again and do a lot of damage to me, but at the end of the day, rocks would not be on the field, and that is the most important part, basically. Donnie Dark Dog Umbreon is my switch in of choice. But Life Orb Hoopa is a god. This thing is broken. Oh my god. So yeah, I mean, I do still like this is going to take a very, very long time to be able to, you know, deal enough damage to be significant to me because I heal off on it. As you see, that entire encounter, I lost 2% of my health. So it's going to take way too long. He doesn't have enough Focus Blast for to actually beat me really. Yeah, basically. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process. Just going to EQ, kind of see what he has, and he doesn't really have very much ways to deal with me. Luckily enough, he lives on 1 HP, and I'll gladly sack off my Gligar just to get Stealth Rocks up, because that means the Azelf is dead, which is really nice. It also means he has to take 25% with the Darmanitan and 25% with the Tornadus. Now, he makes a double with his Hoopa, predicting, I'm not entirely sure, it could have been probably Toxicroak actually, if I had to guess, predicting the Toxicroak, but I was just kind of sacking it. I really didn't need it. I guess it would have been nice for the Darmanitan, but you know, I was just sacking it. It wasn't worth making a crazy prediction for anyways. But Frostas can come in on the Focus Blast race here, as we see, and we can hit him up with the Shadow Ball. Now, as you can see, Ice Beam does like 60%. That's crazy. That's crazy. 60%. That's resisted. So yeah, Frostas is a god. I mean, technically the real reason is just that Sharpedo is really, really frail, but yeah, we are able to get a huge amount of damage, and that damage is crucial because now it's guaranteed minimum damage is like 19%, so it's guaranteed to kill that at that range, so of course that works out very nicely for me. I'm going to go into Gligar. If he's special, then I'm perfectly fine to sack it. If he's physical, then I can take this on decently well. I can take acrobatics, and then yeah, basically that's basically all I can say about it. Go into Rotom, Scarf Rotom right here as he sacks off the Azelf, which is of course his best play. Then he's going to go out next into the Darmanitan. Now, the move he could go for right here is Rock Slide, or I guess a fighting move potentially, but like his most viable move to go for right here is a Rock type move. I'm assuming he Scarf the way that he kind of played those sequence of events. I mean, if he wasn't Scarfed, then I guess it worked. If he wasn't Scarfed, then I guess he bluffed it decently well because I mean, getting Volt Switch damage off on this would have been really, really good, anyways. But odds are he's going for a Rock type move. Blastoise is really weakened, so it would be kind of nice to have Blastoise at enough health to be able to deal with Darmanitan, but I really don't want to hard switch into it. So I actually go hard into Toxicroak because I really don't think he's going for the fire type move. I really think he's going for a rock type move or something. He ends up going for the U-turn. So yeah, that works out pretty nicely for me because not only does Tornadus have to take 25% extra damage, but so does Darmanitan, which actually means they're both in range of Sucker Punch. So yeah, that works out very nicely for me. Sucker Punch mind games are not a thing that Sucker Punch mind games are definitely something that I'm like. It's definitely worth playing these Sucker Punch mind games with the Tornadus because they're really not mind games because he would be losing his turns of Tailwind basically. But of course, that is going to go down, and we're going to kill the Darmanitan with a crit. I really don't think the crit mattered. It did 51%. I doubt it mattered because well, it is a Darmanitan, and either way, he would of course be dying to recoil after that, anyways.